All right, the Board of Trustees regular meeting is now called to order at 4:31 p.m. We welcome members of the public. Instructions for making public comment are posted in item 1 on the agenda. We will ask at each action item if there is public comment. Armando, can you please do roll call?
Student trustee Dizon. Here. Trustee Dodd. Trustee Kishnev.
Here.
Trustee Olson. Trustee DeLuna. Trustee Rios.
Here.
Trustee Iverson. And Trustee Baker.
Here, and I'm also aware that trustees Olson and DeLuna will be joining us shortly. So, Trustee Dizon, this is your last meeting. Would you like to join and lead us in the pledge? As we gather today, it is important to acknowledge that Napa Valley College and the surrounding Napa Valley sit on the unceded traditional, ancestral, and contemporary homelands of the Miwok, Patwin, who are comprised of 3 federally recognized tribes, the Chikachil Dehe Band of Winton Indians of the Calusa Indian Community, the Quetzal Dehe Band of Winton Indians, and the Yocha Dehe Winton Nation, and Wapo, including the Mishwa Wapo, also known as the Onosatis peoples. As part of Napa Valley College's mission of transforming lives through excellent educational and professional opportunities that are student-centered, equity-focused, and community-oriented, and in accordance with the college's values of accountability, integrity, inclusion, respect, social justice, and sustainability, we make this acknowledgement. We also affirm that this acknowledgement is insufficient. It does not undo the harm that has been and continues to be perpetrated against Indigenous people, the land, and water. May we hold steady in our commitment to be in solidarity and in action to seek equity and justice with the Miwok, Patwin, and Wapo peoples. Okay. At this time, we are going to adopt the agenda. There is going to be one change. We will be moving item 916, which is currently on the consent agenda, to item 14.1. It will become an information item under administrative services. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Okay, then can we adopt the agenda as amended, just through consensus? And then we'll move on. So now we are at recognitions. It's that time of year. So first, I'm supposed to ask for a motion right now?
Yes, so we need to take a motion before the discussion and the recognitions take place.
Motion to approve the item, which is resolution in honor of Napa Valley College classified professionals.
Second.
We have Trustee Iverson, who is our first, and Trustee Rios is our second. And before we take our vote, we have the privilege of acknowledging 2 wonderful classified professionals who are reaching their 15-year anniversary of dedicated service to NVC, and to ask our VPs to help us recognize these individuals. Dr. Guerrero, if you can please recognize Renee Rubio.
Absolutely, and perfect timing for Renee and his team. Yeah, stay standing, please. We'd love to, actually, yeah, if you don't mind, just stand up. Would love to recognize Renee Rubio, our MESA coordinator, who's been at Napa Valley College for the last 15 years, but is somebody who's been in this community, I believe, most of his life. So is a homegrown educator doing amazing work in our MESA center, really focused on student success, really shifting that student center to student first, doing all he needs to support our students to be successful, has taken our MESA program to a whole new level. So we're recognized statewide for the amazing work that he does. his commitment, his team approach. One of the things about Rene that I'll say is that he's always willing to do whatever he needs to for students. Hours don't necessarily matter to him. He does what he does when he needs to do it. Sometimes over the weekend that he's driving students back and forth to different trips, different activities. Really is doing some amazing work for Napa Valley College. So we are very honored. And to me, it's a privilege to work with him. My dear colleague, Rene Rubio.
And as I understand, our second honoree, Scott Watts, is not with us, but Mr. Reeves, would you like to tell us a little about him?
Thank you, President Baker. I'd like to honor in his absence Mr. Scott Watts, who has been with us, as we all know, for 15 years. Scott is on our grounds team. He is one of four. He's the senior grounds person. Scott and that team are as busy as anyone on our campuses. We have a 68-acre campus here, much of it not improved, which means that we need to take care of weeds and keep our firework taken care of. He's also, we call it Mr. Fix-It. He's the modern day MacGyver. He could fix your refrigerator if you asked him to. He's a valuable asset, and we were truly fortunate to have him among us. So again, thanks to Scott.
Unfortunately, I didn't have that news sooner since my refrigerator broke last week. But so this we're going to take a vote. So all in favor?
President Baker, before we do that, I just or after we do this, I should say, I just see Renee here with his family, so I think it would be nice too if we could take a picture and after, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
And Renee, of
Absolutely.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
And I don't think there's going to be anybody opposed, but just in case. Did you want to say anything?
Well, thank you.
Renee, I'm so sorry to interrupt, Renee. If you don't mind, just for the Zoom and for anyone watching online, if you could come up to the podium.
Wasn't prepared for this, but let me just say, thank you all for the acknowledgement. It was really kind of you. I was a student here around the same time as Dr. Guerrero. It's been a pleasure being a student, but also now a staff member, coordinator of the MESA program. It's exciting to see where the college and the work that we all do to just give the students a great experience. Just like I got a great experience in my time, that's what I'm here for, is to give the students, which is our client, is that opportunity to succeed where they're at here and to move on to their next career path or educational level. We've been with MESA since 2002. But in 2002, I started off as a professional classified position at that time. We used to have those, and I did that for several years. And I'm thinking, I'm not in any of the union meetings or any of that information. I think I need to go and talk to the union rep. How do I get to that level? So with Jose Hernandez, former MESA director, made the move in 2010, I believe, is when we switched my position to where I'm at, classified. So, but thank you for the acknowledgement.
Thank you.
Good. Are you going to hang out? We get to a picture right before we go into closed. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Next, we have the McPherson Distinguished Teaching Award for the year. Dr. Moore.
Yes, it is very exciting to acknowledge two faculty members for the award this year. And the McPherson Award acknowledges exceptional teaching and service and support for the college and to students. And I'm going to ask in a moment Dean Jerry Dunlap to do a little bit more formal acknowledgement. But I want to just say that both Greg Moralia and Forrest Quinlan are truly exceptional. They embody selfless service. They are everywhere on this campus all the time, working on behalf of our students with heart, with grace, and with passion, and they deserve this award. Thank you both. And if you don't mind, Jerry, yeah.
Good evening, good afternoon, members of the board and cabinet. It is my privilege to introduce Greg Moralia as a recipient of this year's McPherson Award. Greg is a Dean Emeritus at Napa Valley College and currently serves as our Program Coordinator for Criminal Justice Education and Training, as well as the Pride Learning Center Coordinator. Greg is also the on-site liaison for the Early College Program at New Technology High School. Greg's impact extends far beyond the classroom. Greg teaches a wide variety of courses in both LGBT studies and criminal justice, bringing together academic rigor, real world experience, and a deep commitment to student success. His passion for teaching is evident in the innovative learning environment he creates, both in person and online, expanding access and opportunity to all students. Greg has played a pivotal role in the evolution and revitalization of the Bias Education Response Team, the development of the Pride Center, and Safe Space program on our campus. In addition to his work at Napa Valley College, Greg serves on the board of directors for the Matthew Shepard Foundation, is host and producer of Outbeat Radio. Greg is also an ambassador for the Gilbert Baker Foundation in New York and the National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund and Museum in Washington, D.C. that promotes equity, justice, and community engagement. He's a real underachiever, as you can tell. Greg's career reflects a lifelong commitment to expanding opportunity and fostering understanding and serving others with integrity and compassion. Through his work as an educator, advocate, and author, and community leader, he has made a lasting impact on countless students, colleagues, and members of the broader community. His leadership has helped create more inclusive spaces, elevate important conversations, and inspire meaningful change. We are proud to honor Greg this evening and celebrate the extraordinary contributions he has made throughout his career. Congratulations.
So Dean Dunlap is also going to introduce Forrest Quinlan, and we're not clear if you would like them to comment in between or not at all.
Speech.
Well, unfortunately, Chris Farmer could not be here this evening, so he forwarded me. These are Chris's words, okay, not mine, Forrest. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be as animated as Chris would be tonight, but I'm going to do my best. Dr. Forrest Quinlan is the kind of educator who reminds us what teaching is truly about. In a world that too often feels rushed, transactional, and impersonal, Forrest has a rare gift. He makes every student feel seen. He learns their names, knows their stories, and treats every interaction, whether in the classroom, hallway, or lab, as an opportunity to encourage, mentor, and connect. This is Chris. I have known Forrest for nearly 15 years. And one of the first memories I have of him was seeing him hop up on a conference table, barefoot, and sit cross-legged in the middle of a meeting. At the time, I remember thinking, who is this guy? But over the years, I came to understand that this is a part of Forrest's gift. He is willing to be able to be a fool if it helps others feel comfortable. He has an uncanny ability to cut through pretense and remind us that no matter how important the topic at hand, we are all just trying to do a little good in the world. The same authenticity defines his teaching. Forrest treats every student encounter as a mentoring moment. He is here early and stays late. He gives his full attention to every student because to him, they are never just a name on a roster. They are individuals with goals, challenges, and enormous potential. He grades like a maniac because he wants students to have answers, feedback, and reassurance as soon as possible, even the day after finals. He is the kind of faculty member who gives far more than the job requires. Because of him, teaching has never been just a job. What has always stood out to me about Forrest is that his work never is about himself. Whether it's advocating for students wrestling through complex campus issues, or finding ways to support his colleagues, his focus is always the same. How do we move this forward? How do we help people? How do we make Napa Valley College and the world around us a little bit better? For his extraordinary humanity, his deep commitment to students, and the joy and authenticity he brings to his work every day, Dr. Forrest Quinlan is profoundly deserving of the McPherson Distinguished Teaching Award.
Thank you very much. Greg, just so you're aware, my son goes to New Tech and he was in your class, I think, last year, and you were his favorite teacher last year. So, and Forrest, haven't you won this thing before? Nice to know that you're consistent. Congratulations, both of you. All right, we are ready to move on to constituent group reports. Associated Students of Napa Valley College, do we have a representative? No, we do not. Oh, are you going to be a student? Go for it.
Go like that. There we go. Yeah, like that. So I'm a stand-in for Neptali tonight because he is currently doing a 24-hour run down at the track as a fundraiser for scholarships and everything. So if you want, I'm going to be there at about 10 o'clock tonight running with him. So come join us. But I think, Alex, do you have information that can donate and all sorts of stuff?
Share some more information in a bit.
Perfect. All right. That's my report.
Thank you. Classified Senate. No one? All right. Classified Association.
I do believe we have Kira on Zoom. Give me 1 second here. And Kira, you just should have gotten a panelist invitation here. That should move you over, and then you should be able to turn on audio and video. Give me 1 second. Okay, and Kira, can you hear us?
I can. Hello, everyone.
Perfect.
So I am here today to provide a constituency group update on behalf of classified employees. As you may see from the agenda, this week is Classified Appreciation Week. So I did want to take a minute to thank our colleagues in the admin and academic senates for the work that they've been doing to celebrate classified contributions this week. Each one of the 120 plus employees who make up the classified constituency provides an essential service to this campus, and I do appreciate the acknowledgement of our work, as well as the acknowledgement of our long-serving members tonight, who had some little acknowledgement earlier. With that said, this is a challenging time to receive that appreciation. As I've shared in previous updates, trust and morale have been damaged for our group. And I sincerely doubt that our colleagues facing reassignment or layoff in the coming months are going to be able to be convinced that this institution values them. The repair that's needed for our community as a whole is going to take more than a week. And that is not a criticism of Solange and the hard work that she and her team have done to make us feel appreciated this week. Again, it's a really great time. I'm grateful and gratified by the acknowledgement this week. But as we consider the many changes that are ahead of us, I'm hopeful that we can keep this attitude of mutual appreciation going. Thank you. That concludes my report. Thank you for your recognition and time.
Thank you. Admin Confidential Senate. I don't see anyone. So Academic Senate reports. I definitely see a faculty association.
So sorry, we do have Christine Tapia on
apologize for
Zoom
that.
as we're here. 1 second, Christine, you should be getting your invitation. Perfect. And then you should be able to unmute yourself and turn your video on if you want.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, board, cabinet, and NVC community. I'm here to provide a report on behalf of the Administrative Confidential Senate. First and foremost, to our classified professionals, happy Classified Appreciation Week. We all know that our classified professionals are the heart of this institution, from supporting students at the front lines to keeping our operations running seamlessly behind the scenes. We're really grateful to have such an exceptional team of classified professionals, and Kira is correct. This is just one opportunity to honor and appreciate them for all they do. That really should be happening constantly year round. We also want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who donated and volunteered to support this week's event. Your generosity made it possible to celebrate our classified staff in a meaningful way. And it speaks to the spirit of community that makes Napa Valley College such a special place. Next up, we want to congratulate our colleagues. Congratulations to Dean Emeritus Greg Moralia and Dr. Forrest Quinlan, this year's recipients of the McPherson Award for Teaching Excellence. We're really proud to help celebrate two educators whose dedication to the craft of teaching continues to inspire students and colleagues alike. And we also want to extend congratulations to Julie Hernandez of the Basic Needs Center. If you saw Dr. G's announcement, I think yesterday, she is this year's recipient of the Dr. Ed Schenk Excellence in Student Service Award. And if you haven't been to the Basic Needs Center, please come visit. Julie, you will see, truly exemplifies the very best of NVC's commitment to equity, care, and student success. And she's just a delight to work with. And that said, nominations are still open for the Administrative Confidential Employee of the Year award. This is a wonderful opportunity to recognize an outstanding colleague who goes above and beyond in service in Napa Valley College. So we encourage all members of the campus community to take a moment to submit a nomination. It's not too late. The deadline is on Tuesday, April 21st. So please don't miss this chance to honor someone who makes a difference at NVC. And lastly, the Administrative Confidential Senate is pleased to announce the approval of a scholarship for this year's scholarship ceremony. We look forward to recognizing a deserving student and celebrating their hard work and achievements as they continue their educational journey at Napa Valley College. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Now Faculty Association.
That's me. Sorry, is it on? Hi, it's great to see everybody. Thank you as usual for the opportunity to report on behalf of the faculty at NVC. I am humbled as always to speak on behalf of such an incredible and dedicated group of educators. First of all, I wanted to highlight, and I figured it was going to happen, but they stole my thunder. I was going to highlight some faculty being honored right now. First of all, we are so excited that Professor Forrest Quinlan and Professor Gregory Miraglia are to be honored as this year's McPherson Award honorees. They are both incredible educators and proud union members and have spent their entire careers working tirelessly to support their students and are always willing to go above and beyond. They're truly wonderful people and wonderful educators to work with. So thank you guys so much, and it's very well deserved. Appreciate it. Additionally, I'm not sure if any of you know this, but we in the faculty union actually give our own award as well. Our statewide organization, what's known as the Community College Association, honors local members every year with their We Honor Ours, or WHO awards. This year, we've nominated one Joshua Murillo to receive this great honor. Next weekend, our own Vice President, Christy Iwamoto, will be honoring Joshua at the CCA Spring Conference in Irvine. And I wanted to read the speech that she wrote for him now, and just to share it with the board. Joshua Murillo is a part-time faculty member in the physics department and also works in the college's Math Success Center. He has been the Napa Valley College Faculty Association's organizing chair since 2024. He worked to get the chapter a CCA innovation grant, and he used the grant to purchase a button maker in order to increase solidarity between constituent groups, official NVCFA t-shirts for visibility at general meetings and Board of Trustees meetings, and a banner for union tabling at college events. He handles all of our social events, including bar nights, and created morning coffee sessions in order to connect with members. He has done this for years with a revolving door of organizing team members. Joshua is one of the driving forces behind our increases in membership, and the Napa Valley College Faculty Association is very lucky to have him. As an update to our faculty union work on campus, I wanted to mention that recently our union held an election to determine the membership of our executive board for the 2-year term commencing this coming fall 2026. The results of that election were reported today at our general membership meeting. Our president will be someone named John Kinchelo. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Vice president will be Professor Christy Uemoto. Our secretary will be our wonderful counseling faculty, Angela Moore. Our Professor Marissa Garcia Rodriguez, will be serving as our treasurer. And one Professor Gregory Maraglia will be serving as our part-time representative. At this meeting, I also announced that we'll be starting a 1-week voting period to consider revisions to Article 6, which covers full-time workload in our collective bargaining agreement. And I wanted to quickly mention that this work could not have been completed without the dedication and volunteer efforts of 4 of our faculty members. Professor Christine Pruitt in English, Professor Shauna Bynum in math, and 2 of our amazing counseling faculty, Angie Moore and Hope Scott. They dedicated their time on a volunteer basis to work with myself and Forrest and Dr. Moore as representative of the district to work on revisions to Article 6 and come up with something that I think was very well received by our membership today at the meeting. And so hopefully, finally, the results of this vote, should it be successful and affirmative, will mark the end of the 2024 through 2027 contract cycle, which is a big deal. And this is the part I didn't write down, but it was a big deal because it's been a long time. It's taken us a long time to get through this contract cycle. And my hope is that in the future, we can find a way to, make the process more collaborative and productive for both sides. And, it's ongoing. It's an ongoing process, and we're constantly working with the district to develop a plan for how workload works at the college and different issues that may arise. And I appreciate the work of Charo and Priscilla and Alex in their work and Jim, of course, as representatives from the district in those situations. But I always want to, highlight that when we end that process, it's this sort of, a big deal for us to end a contract cycle. And we're excited to have a new bargaining agreement, and we'll be back at the table in fall. So it's great to know that we completed the process, though, should the vote be affirmative. That's what I should say. And so thanks, as always, for this opportunity. And the faculty's position is and always will be that we are united in our rights as NVC faculty, ready for challenges of the future, thankful for lessons of the past, and passionately dedicated to the success of our students and the institution as a whole. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, at this time, the board will devote a total of up to 15 minutes to hear comments regarding closed session agenda items. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment on closed session items?
Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment on closed session items.
All right, then I'll close public comment for closed session. At this time, the board will move into closed session, and we anticipate returning 6:15. I'm going to say 6:15 because there were so 6:15. Items for closed session would be discussing public employee performance evaluation, public employment, and conference with real property negotiators. So we will see you back here at 6:15.
We should be back. Perfect. Sorry, I got a text that there was a sound issue, so I just had to fix that very quickly. We are back on Zoom sound for those that were watching. We do have some public comments, Madam Chair. Our first one here is Danielle Tillman. And if you could just come up to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Tillman. I am a student and a mother of a 6-year-old daughter. I moved into River Trail Village when it opened in August 2024 while attending Napa Valley College. I have since transferred to College of Marin because of the issues I am about to describe. I still live at River Trail Village. Since I moved in, my account has had repeated billing errors. Late fees were charged while I was waiting for financial aid to disperse. A staff member informed me that fees could be reversed under a payment plan, but that reversal was never honored. No formal payment was ever put in place despite my repeated requests. I made monthly payments and the college and housing office were aware that I was waiting on financial aid, yet late fees continued to be added. On December 17th, 2025, I received an enforcement notice for a violation at a different unit, not my own. The property manager admitted the error the same day and offered an unprompted statement that it was not retaliatory. I had not used that word. Since approximately November 2024, I have been charged $12.95 each month for an insurance program called LRIP. I have maintained my own active renter's insurance since I moved in. At no point did anyone request proof of my coverage or inform me that I was out of compliance. The charges were applied month after month despite having my own insurance. I'm here because the place that was supposed to be my home as a student became a source of ongoing billing issues and stress. I have transferred to another college because of it. My 6-year-old daughter has watched me deal with the stress for nearly 2 years. I'm asking this board to review how this housing program is being managed and to take responsibility for what has happened to the students living here. This is not just about me. This is about students being treated and how the students are being treated in this housing situation and this institution is responsible for. A complaint has been filed with the NAACP. Thank you.
Okay, and our next public comment is from Janice Lacey.
Good evening. My name is Janice Lacey. I'm a student living at River Trail Village. On November 13, 2025, a maintenance employee entered my unit without using a key. There was no notice, no knock, and no consent. I was undressed at the time. The employee claimed there was a work order, but I never submitted one. I reported this to Dr. Guerrero the same day. He acknowledged it and said he will follow up. No investigation was conducted. The employee was never identified. I was never given any explanation for what happened. On January 8th, 2026, I attended a meeting with Dr. Powell, Dr. Guerrero, my cousin Danielle, and my aunt. During that meeting, Dr. Guerrero stated that he would assist me with a financial aid appeal, and he was aware of my family's medical circumstances and that I had documentation to support the appeal. That assistance never occurred, and the financial aid was not secured. My balance continued to grow, and late fees were added. On March 5th, 2026, Dr. Guerrero sent an email confirming that in the amount 1,310 in late fees would be waived. His words were, Asset has agreed to waive Janice's current late fees. Dr. Powell was copied on that email. Those fees remain on my account today. On April 14th, 2026, I was served with a 3-day notice to vacate, stating that I owed $7,382.35. That amount includes the $1,310 in fees that were confirmed in writing to be waived. I am a student who experienced an unauthorized entry into my home that was never investigated. I relied on commitments made by the administration that were not followed through, and now I'm facing removal from student housing based on a balance that includes fees that were supposed to be removed. I'm asking this board to intervene, investigate the entry into my unit, ensure the fees that were confirmed in writing are removed, withdraw the notice to vacate and reinstate my lease or housing status so I'm not being pushed out while this account remains disputed and unresolved. I'm asking this board to look at the facts in front of you and take responsibility for what has happened. Please note a complaint has been filed with the NAACP. Thank you.
And we have one more public comment from Dr. Lacey.
Good evening, everyone on the board and the people in the audience. My name is Dr. Alicia Lacey. I am Janice Lacey's mom. I am here to apply some concerns regarding Janice's issue. From October 25th, October 25 through February 26, I was undergoing treatment for breast cancer, including a double mastectomy. During that time, my daughter Janice was trying to manage school, housing, and my medical situation all at once. I was aware of what my daughter was dealing with and the stress it was causing her. What I saw was my daughter trying her darnest to stay in school and maintain her housing while also supporting me through a serious medical situation. Instead of the situation improving over time, it became more difficult. The issue she was dealing with were not resolved, and the stress continued to build. As a parent, this is very difficult to watch. Trying to do everything right under extremely challenging circumstances. I am asking the board to take a close look at what has happened here. Students and their families should not have to navigate this kind of situation while dealing with serious life circumstances. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And Madam Chair, that is our last public comment for this section.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to the approval of the consent calendar. Unless anyone has anything that they need to pull, I just need to ask for a motion and second.
I'll move. I'll second.
So we had a motion from trustee DeLuna with a second from trustee Olson. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Okay, motion passes. So now we are moving on to the information item on the adaptive PE and community engagement efforts. Dr. Powell.
Thank you, President Baker. Wanted to provide a brief update on the college's efforts within the past few weeks concerning adaptive physical education, and also present some information in terms of next steps for the college relative to how we can ensure that there is service that continues to be provided for individuals who've been tapping into this really important and essential course. So, next slide. All right, so just as a quick recap, the things that were concerns as it relates to adaptive physical education, which have led to the essentially removal of the courses from the summer and fall schedule, really situate on two areas. The first of which has been the one that's been most prominently discussed, which are some of the budget concerns relative to this particular course. We're in a unique position as a community supported district with respect to how we are actually compensated for courses. Unlike the majority of courses within the California Community College system, we do not receive state-based apportionment connected to our enrollments. So that essentially means that regardless of the number of sections that we offer as an institution, our overall revenue remains the same. And so with that as a caveat, we are largely incapable of capturing growth dollars that other institutions would be able to capture based upon increasing student enrollment in specific courses. When you compound that with what we've been seeing at the state level as it relates to the overall compensation from the state of California and what we call Fund 12 or restricted funding sources for DSPS services, what we've been experiencing as a system is that the allocation that each community college received has been dropping. And so we're essentially having to service a larger number of students with a smaller pot of money each year. So the budget concerns were part of the initial concerns and really what caused us to examine and look at the DSPS courses. But as we dug a little deeper in, there were some other areas of concern that were brought to light as it relates to adaptive physical education specifically. And these relate back to the college's ability to offer a course more than one time for students. And this is what's called course repeatability within the California Community College system. Back in about 2011, the state implemented firmer standards as it relates to the college's capacity to offer courses to students more than once. Prior to these rigid policies that were put into place for the California Community College system, students could repeat the course multiple times. Repeatability restrictions have essentially stated that students are not to repeat the course successfully more than once unless there were very specific conditions that were met. The specific conditions being met as it relates to adaptive physical education are a demonstrated connection to their overall degree or course program. And as we dug into and looked at the ways that many of the students within the adaptive PE program were accessing the course, what we found is that most students are looking for courses to improve overall quality of life, to improve their mobility, improve access to services that could help them as it relates to their overall physical health. But it was somewhat questionable whether these attempts were actually linked to their attempt to complete a degree or certificate program. But that was just a part of it. The other concerns as it relates to scheduling the course and the methods in which we've traditionally scheduled the adaptive PE courses are that we've been scheduling these classes as if they are face-to-face, on-ground, synchronous courses. But what we found in looking at how students are actually accessing the course is that they don't necessarily need the course to be scheduled on specific days or specific times. These are more what we would call open entry, open exit courses, where students can schedule based upon their availability time to come in at times that are more convenient for them, which again is a really good thing to do. But as it relates to how we've historically scheduled these courses, it creates some problems and concerns for us with respect to attendance accounting. And so as we dug into this, it became clear that the ways that students have been accessing the adaptive PE courses have really evolved and grown over time. But the method by which we provided these resources and services were not adapting based upon those real student needs and how they're accessing the course. So all that being said, what's the solution, right? I think it's been clear to us in discussions, with our internal stakeholders, clear to us in discussions with community members that this is a vital resource and these services are important to the overall Napa community. And so what we think will be a really effective solution that addresses both the concerns as it relates to the attendance accounting, the concerns as it relates to the budget issues, the concerns as it relates to the repeatability, are to shift the method by which we provide these resources to what we call a community education course. And essentially what this course is it allows us to schedule or provide a service or resource outside of our traditional attendance accounting system that is more responsive to the needs of the members of the community. And we think we can do this at a comparable price point for what students are currently paying as it relates to their registration fees for the credit course through some creative partnerships that I'll get into in a moment. I think one of the best things about this process is that it's a lot easier to access. Students that are looking to actually enroll in a community education course don't have to go through the traditional matriculation and onboarding process, which I know for this particular student population can present some challenges, as it presents challenges to me, quite frankly, navigating our own application system. So this is a much easier way for students to identify courses or resources that they need and actually enroll in those services. The added benefit is that we don't have concerns with course repetition or attendance accounting. We have a lot more flexibility in how we schedule these courses. We can schedule them essentially in any format or modality that we'd like. And we don't have to worry about whether that fits in compliance with Title V regulations concerning adaptive PE and repeatability. And I think one of the most important pieces is that it really maintains access to critical services for the community. We think we can do this at a fraction of the cost of what we've been really allocated for the adaptive PE courses, which ensures that this is something that can be sustainable, that even in light of some of the budget challenges we have, we can sustain these resources for members of the community. And the ways that we're thinking about doing this, we've had one initial meeting with some community stakeholders who represent various organizations that work closely with our adaptive PE populations. We think we can do this with the combination of some of the student fees, which again, the target objective would be to sustain the about what students are paying now for access to these courses. So there's not, to really avoid the adding more fees onto students and then restricting access. And also, or rather the Napa Valley College Foundation was recipients of, a legacy gift, which many folks have referenced from former student Evelyn Allen. There is the potential to utilize some of the revenue that we have from investments from the Evelyn Allen Trust to help pay for and offset, augment some costs relative to this. But I think the most exciting piece is that the dialogue that's really emerged from members of the extended Napa community have highlighted the fact that this is a critical resource and service that many members of the Napa community are willing to support. And we've had an outcry of additional potential partners who are willing to work with us collaboratively towards fundraising and finding other support mechanisms to ensure that these services are offered. So we think that this really opens a door for better collaboration amongst other vested community organizations that have similar objectives to serve the student population. And so the next steps for us are, again, I mentioned that we've had one initial meeting with some community stakeholders. We need to grow the network of people who are helping us to work towards providing these services. And we got some great referrals from internal campus stakeholders. We received referrals from some of the community members who we've already met with. To seek additional input, we need to get into the weeds a bit in terms of what the needs are for the students, the frequency with which we would need to offer these courses, some of the support services that would be critical for their students' continued success in this program. So some of the logistical pieces are things that still need to be worked out. Continuing to build those partnerships with local agencies. This has been an objective for me since I come here to NVC to grow our network of community partners to ensure that we are addressing needs for students in a holistic environment by tapping into these creative partnerships with some of our community agencies. And I think the most exciting piece for us is that we think we can do all of this in time for a fall 2026 start. So giving the college and the community stakeholders a few months to work the logistics and then hammer out the details over the course of the summer will enable us to really bring back this experience in what we think is a more productive, helpful, and accessible way for members of the community as early as the fall of 2026. And so with that, Trustee Baker, be happy to take any questions or comments.
We can start with our community members that had public comment.
Yes, Madam Chair, we had two individuals hoping to speak on this specific item. Our first one is Rick Paniagua.
Hello. Do I have to hit a button?
No, you're all set.
You hear me okay? Okay. Rick Paniagua, my name, regular Napa citizen, Napkin, taxpayer, voter, Napa College graduate from just a few years ago. I had a whole list of reasons why the college should continue to support this program, and we were all kind of freaking out about how it was being abandoned. And I'm actually the last person to worry about. It's the students with some much more serious disabilities. I have a bad knee. It's helped me a lot. But it's the people, the majority of the people that take this class has serious disabilities. And this class that Professor Kling has been teaching for almost 40 years, I guess, is just phenomenal. And the self-esteem that gets increased and the health benefits, it just goes on and on. Anyway, I was going to have this whole list of arguments to continue it, but guess what? Thank you. This is an awesome decision. I think this is a great decision. It seems like that's kind of where the class maybe should have gone a while back, and the community ed class. So thank you, trustees, cabinet, president, whoever worked this out. It is seems like a very, very good solution. I'm sure Christy's going to have some details that I don't know about that she'll want to make sure are worked out, but this just seems like a great way to move forward. Having this class here for the students, again, the seriously disabled students, is just super important. They come out of high school, I don't know how many of you are involved with, I had not been involved with the disabled community, but to see the impact this has is just stunning. And
these kids that get out of high school, there's really not much, things get kind of flattened out for them when they're out, just boom, they're out, now what? And to be able to come here, they say, I think some of them could barely get it out, but you saw some of them the last 2 months ago. They say I'm going to college and they just glow, and they can't get here on their own. And yet they're here more than I get here. I miss more than they do. And so anyway, it's a great class. Thank you for, I think this is the right path to go. It sounds great. I appreciate the effort that went into that. It's very creative thinking. If the college is sincere about making this, a regular thing and it works for the foundation, I don't have anything. I got to work on something to complain about. I'll get back to you when things come up, but thank you.
And Madam Chair, we have one more speaker for this item, and it is Christy Kling. If you could come up. And then this is our final public comment for this item.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much for all of the efforts that several of the board members had to go above and beyond to meet with community members, parents, students, concerned citizens. So I want to thank you all for reaching out and allowing those folks to communicate with you. As your adaptive PE specialist of the district, I think it's my responsibility to share with you a couple things for you to consider going forward. This is the first I have learned of this presentation, Dr. Torrance. So I'm not as prepared to maybe make some other announcements, but I appreciate the effort given. Dr. Mora let me know that that this community education proposal had come through. Unfortunately, I didn't have I didn't know if it was just for my knowledge or if it was to share. But before you do proceed, I think there's some things that I urge you to consider. What is the difference between a credit course and a community ed course for a young student who just graduated from one of our high schools in the community? When they come out to Napa Valley College, they're entitled to take an elective from the kinesiology offerings. One of those offerings is the adaptive PE class. This allows individuals with documented disabilities from their doctors to engage in exercise. Your adaptive PE specialist has worked to make sure that, number one, their accommodations are documented and received. Number two, they have to make sure that what the doctor's documentation says corresponds with the program that the specialist would then make for that individual. For example, Rick, who is a member of one of my classes, had a bad knee. So, his program would be different than maybe someone with cerebral palsy or someone with deep depression or someone with autism or someone with a TBI who just got shot in the head in crossfire and has finally made it out to Napa Valley College. They're all going to need very unique programs designed for them. And that is the purpose of what we have in kinesiology. You have an adaptive PE specialist. Now, this year alone, we served 240 students according to the unit plan that the kinesiology department produced. Out of that 240 students, they all have accommodations. They're all special needs people. And if we were to say, let's have you go into swimming, let's have you go into weight training, or let's have you go into yoga, what will happen is that the district will be responsible to make sure that they have those accommodations following them into those classes. 240 students that we serve right now, 1 faculty member and 5 instructional assistants for 6 courses, 240 students. That you're getting a bang for your money, because those students, if they go into other courses, are going to need those accommodations. Many of them need that instructional assistant with them. And you're going to have the DSPNS program, who you're cutting already, making sure that those students have those accommodations before they go into those regular physical education classes. That's how we save you money. That is the beauty of, number one, inclusion, but making sure that the district is not liable, and making sure that everything lines up with their disability. And this is going to happen not just in credit courses, but in the non-credit courses, because you're bound by law. Community ed is bound by the same legal requirements that you have for credit courses. You have to accommodate them. And that is why we have, in a way, saved you money over the course of several years. And that is what I'm sharing with you. That is a piece of the puzzle. The other thing that I wanted to share, and I know time is limited, I wanted to encourage you. Right, repeatability is a concern. And we had a form that was used by the registration office that would say, you have already taken the class one time. Are you eligible for repeatability? That would be something that their counselor would sign off. Yes, they're making measurable progress towards their goals, their educational goals. That is not something I do. It is not, it's out of my realm. It's not my responsibility. But when it's working properly, if a student comes, they're disabled, and say they have severe depression, or they are bipolar, or they're schizophrenic, and exercise is something that helps them towards their educational plan, then they can repeat that class as long as they're making measurable progress. And that, I think, is important I wanted to make sure you understood that. Yes, I think there is a place for students that once they take a physical education course in like physical fitness, adaptive PE, the next semester, if they don't have an ed plan, if they're not going on and making measurable progress, I think the community ed system would be an excellent hybrid opportunity for them. But what I want to say is, before you eliminate the adaptive PE class, I want you to remember that from the foundation of this college back in the 60s, they had a commitment to the disabled. We had a commitment to the disabled when I was hired. And we have jumped through every hoop that the board, that the cabinet, our administrators have asked us. Back in the pandemic, we were the first class to really open up so that we could have synchronous type of classes. We were told, we don't want you online. Teachers, come back, get into the classroom, grow your classes. And every year since the pandemic, we went from 0 when all the classes were canceled. Every year we've grown by almost 50 students per year. And we haven't changed our staffing. Maybe we've added 1 student worker at minimum wage. That's what we're dealing with. So the cost that I have asked for the budget to show how much we cost, I still haven't received it. I reached out to Dr. Mora on February 23rd, and I told her that Jerry Dunlap, my dean, could not provide me any answers because his job was on the line. So I couldn't communicate with my dean. I went to Ramon, who is the DSPNS coordinator, and he was not able to provide me with the budget numbers. I finally went to Dr. Mora. The day after spring break, I wrote to her and I said, I have yet to get budget code number or budget numbers. How much do we really cost the district? It's my salary. It's 5 instructional assistants at minimum wage that work with 240 students. Now think about if we're not there, these are trained people that have come through our classes and have experience, and they understand the disabled population. It's not, you can't just take someone and say, you're going to teach adaptive PE. You have to have someone that's going to protect you from liability. And that is, I think, my greatest concern. The other thing I want to clarify is that we are not a physical therapy outlet. We just happened to get word out into the community, and then doctors started getting word, and then they started referring because your college had one of the best adaptive PE programs in the Valley and really in the state of California. We provide physical fitness through the kinesiology program. We are the second largest generating program, classes for the kinesiology program under Health 106 that's primarily taught online. Yes, there are some maybe face-to-face classes, but they're taught by adjunct and our full-timers. Compared to adaptive PE where you just have one faculty member, we are generating your largest FTEs in kinesiology. What that matters is maybe not for it. You're right. It doesn't maybe bring money in, but it does for DSPNS, because for every blind person, we get X amount of money. For a deaf and hard of hearing individual, that's a certain amount of money. At the end of each semester, I have to enter into a database that goes to the state chancellor information about how many people we serve, how many head injured people we serve, how many ADHD people, and that's how we get our funding. And I wanted to say that that funding is what helps the DSPNS program maintain their funding. That's how we bring the money in. I think the only thing, and I don't want to, I want to say one more thing. At 9:30 to 11 o'clock, we bring in students that are 18 to 24-year-old. They've graduated from high school, Napa High, Vintage, St. Helena, Calistoga, American Canyon. Those are they probably make up about 50% of who we serve. And I would encourage you to keep at least one adaptive PE class so that these young people can be properly taught the basics of physical fitness. Because if you're offering classes for able-bodied, but you're eliminating a protected class, I think that's discriminatory, and you're setting yourselves up for, I think, some liability. I know that we're in hard times financially. And what I would like to say is, if you keep at least some adaptive PE classes for your first year, the first semester, they will be able to learn just as anyone else in physical fitness. They have the right to have that opportunity of inclusion, at least for one class. If they don't meet the repeatability, then allow them to go into community education. But right now, you don't want to take away from the kinesiology program something that is working and working well. I think the other thing that I just want to say is that sometimes we have students that cannot stay the entire class period, and they might need to leave sooner, but we have not. I don't know where you're getting your information about our student contact and how we run the classes. We run them just like we have to. We're evaluated. And I think that it is important for you to make sure that we are making sure that our students are served and they're not excluded, because I really believe that excluding credit, your adaptive PE class, is something that could be taught by an adjunct. Sections could be reduced, and it appears that I'm not as welcomed. And so I could leave, and that would open up where you could have an adjunct professor. All you need is a professor. I encourage you to keep your DSPNS specialist, Christina Garcia, who would be the transition. If I leave, who is going to take this? I mean, which person is going to take on the adaptive physical education program and move it into the community ed? Who has the credentials to do that? And that's what I'm saying, is I want to give you these pieces, not to hound you, but to say to you, after 40 years of service, this is what I've learned. And I just want to say one more thing. There are students that are in housing that have been promised housing if they come over and help us, or if they enroll in adaptive PE. What's going to happen to them if that goes away? Because they are helping our students and they are also assisting themselves by taking the class. And I would hope that you would consider all the ramifications of just by cutting the program. I think you're really missing the bigger point. And that's what I just wanted to share with you. I appreciate your time. I can't begin to tell you how much I know how hard the situation is. I know Dr. Mora is doing what she knows to do, Dr. Powell as well. But I am saying to you, educators, my administrators, I wish you would have come and talked to me, to include me. And you haven't. You've excluded me. You've excluded our staff. You've excluded some of our students. It is parents and their families who have fought the hard fight since their kids were born with special needs. And I just want to say that these people should have a voice before you, and they can't, because they can't really speak out for themselves. But it is your responsibility to make sure that you follow the mission statement of inclusion, of respecting our diversity, and also understanding the DSPNS funding and the program. Because remember, the chancellor's office and your own ed plan say that there's going to be a larger number of disabled people coming through. And we have to prepare now. The chancellor's office is saying districts prepare now for the bringing of new people from high school that are going to need our services. And I just want to end with that. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your time and all your effort.
Thank you. So I know that the board has a few questions that we would like to ask also. Before we dive into that, I did want to get a point of clarification. It was just mentioned that we have 240 students, but the information I have says 115. Could we get clarity on that number?
Sure. Happy to provide a little clarity. So what you're referencing, Trustee Baker, is the 115 students is the number of students enrolled in adaptive PE courses. I believe the number that Professor Kling was referencing is possibly the number of DSPS receiving students or students that access DSPS. And so in making this decision, what we did is isolate the number of students that were in the adaptive PE courses exclusively. And some data that I think will help contextualize the decision here as it relates to these particular courses. Really, I think is pertinent when we look at and we disaggregate students based upon their enrollment in adaptive physical education courses exclusively versus enrollment in adaptive PE courses and other courses. The nearest and the best metric that we can really call upon when we look at stated intent of students in accessing the APE courses, intent being whether they're pursuing a degree or certificate or, whether they're pursuing a specific service to help improve their overall quality of life. An indicator to really help us narrow that number down is their enrollment in other courses as well. Because presumably if they're enrolled in other courses in the APE program as well, then those are students who are accessing the course because they need the credit to help them on their educational journey. So if you're following me, the numbers that I think are most pertinent for 25, 26 are 115 students enrolled in adaptive PE courses. And of that 115, 104 or 90.4% of those students are enrolled solely in adaptive PE courses. And 11 students are enrolled in courses beyond adaptive PE. And so that 11 number would indicate those students that are accessing in this particular academic year. I think we can say confidently those 11 students are seeking to pursue, some form of educational program and need the credit. I think it's important to look at these trends over time because when we assess how students have been accessing adaptive physical education over the course of the last 11 years or so, we see a trend. In 2014, 2015, there were 142 students enrolled in adaptive PE, of which 85 or 59.9% or 60% of those students were exclusively enrolled in adaptive PE, and then 57 or 40% of students were enrolled in adaptive PE, as well as other courses. And so what that tells us is that over the course of the past 11 years or so, the demographics of students that are accessing those courses have shifted. And they've shifted to be students that are looking for a specific service. When meeting with various members of the community, and thank you, Professor Kling, for referring some of these. Trustee Iverson has referred several members of the community to us. Dr. Moore and I have had several conversations with members who have actually attended the board meeting, and it became clear in the conversations with them the priority that they were looking for as it relates to the experiences for their students would be, one, a sense of community, and then two, access to the specific equipment and the knowledge to help guide them. And very few of the students that we've connected with or the members of the community have explicitly expressed the need for the credit in the course as a primary objective or motivation for them actually pursuing the course. And so the idea for the community education course actually came from two members of the campus community in a meeting that Dr. Moore and I had as it relates to an alternative to a very costly and expensive model of offering the course on a credit basis. So I think that the intent in terms of ensuring that there is some form of experience that meets that base need is being articulated by members of the community was the motivation for the creation of the community education model as opposed to the credit-based model.
And before I turn over to anybody else, that's a decent segue for my next question was the current cost of providing the program versus the anticipated savings of transitioning to community ed.
Yes. Professor Kling's right. She's asked for these data and navigating the complexity of the adaptive PE compensation model has taken quite a bit of time for members of our business services office and community because there are a lot of things at play, but through about 6 weeks worth of analysis and confirmation from our state chancellor's office sources, we have determined that the estimated annual net cost savings, and this is after we received the Fund 12 apportionment or allocation for those unique DSPS students that are enrolled in adaptive PE, is about $373,000 in terms of the cost to offer the adaptive PE courses for the district. And again, I will stress that is after we received the unique apportionment or Fund 12 resources from the state chancellor's office for those unique enrollments.
Can you confirm the current cost as well?
Jim, I believe it was just a shade under $500,000, was it, or about 480 or so?
What is the current cost of providing the course in its current format?
I think Dr. Powell's pretty close, but I don't have that number right in front of me.
It was a shade under, yes, thank you, $423,000.
And we'd be saving 375.
Yes.
And can I just have, because that's certainly a meaningful obviously the budget piece of it, but I was also, Dr. Powell, you mentioned in 2011 about new ed code regulations and discussion about repeatability or prohibiting effectively repeatability except for very limited circumstances. And I'm looking at the risk piece there. Professor Kling talked about, what's the chancellor's office is saying, but I'm looking on the other side of that coin of like, what does the chancellor's office have in ed code regs? And with respect to repeatability and associated, there's risks there, meaningful risks, just in addition to, or the budget piece is one savings, but could the chancellor potentially pull grants, or there's penalties in terms of not following? I mean, clearly that it appears that maybe we weren't following ed code perfectly in certain respects in terms of the amount of repeatability and repeat course takers not taking other courses. And I just heard it, from a couple it was Professor Kling earlier too, just saying, some of these students don't necessarily have an academic plan. And I was actually thinking, well, what was the purpose of this regulation in terms of, and I guess it's probably that there's no, the purpose of this community college and these credit and non-credit courses is really to build and facilitate and to support academic planning for future and workforce training and so on, not necessarily for physical therapy purposes. So yeah, I guess I'm also that I'm a bit of a run on here, but curious about the chancellor's, the risk piece, and then maybe just getting into that policy piece as well. Just if you have any thoughts on that.
Sure. It is a fair and excellent question, Trustee Dodd. I quite frankly don't want to put the college in a position where I am knowingly violating what is allowable within Title V in ed code regulations. And so I'm not sure what the chancellor's office penalties could be. There are things that they could levy for us. There's a little bit of insulation for us, given that our base funding is not apportionment, right? But we still do receive a not insignificant amount of money on Fund 12 dollars. And so my practice just as an administrator is that when I see things that are not in compliance with what we are allowed to do, it is my imperative to ensure that the college itself stays in compliance. So Trustee Moore, I'm not sure if you have any thoughts, or Trustee Moore, Dr. Moore, I'm sorry.
Agree completely. I have a question. Would there be an impact on DSPS funding with the elimination of the APE courses?
Yes, those unique student enrollments where they're not taking other courses will chip away at the college's total allocation for DSPS funds. And it's near as we can tell that's the net difference between the $426,000 and the the 373 or so.
Can I ask a follow-up on that, just to clarify, because I had almost the same question, but I was a little confused about the DSPS funding. So the funding that we get for DSPS is not, there's no funding there specifically for adaptive PE. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what you've just stated was, as I understood it, that the more students that we have that are not on an academic plan, that they're just using the APE for rehabilitation or whatever it may be without a plan for a degree or certificate, we're using money that we are receiving from DSPS to fund part of those. So we're taking away from those that are pursuing a degree or certificate. Is that correct?
That is one way to look at it, Trustee Rios, yes.
But so we're not receiving funding specifically for the APE.
Correct. A couple of things I think that are important to note. The resources that we receive for the Fund 12 dollars for our DSPS students are based on head count, not enrollment. So a student that enrolls in multiple sections of adaptive PE will generate the baseline funding for the institution, regardless of whether they take one class or 3 or 4 or 6, right? The other piece, which I think is really important to highlight, is the fact that our DSPS allocations as a system have been declining, and they're projected to continue to decline. And so the base funding year, the hold harmless year that we've experienced was a high watermark allocation for the district. And our subsequent allocations for DSPS are projected to decrease, and not by a small number. So we are in the position where the district will need to find ways to support students with a smaller amount of Fund 12 or special allocations or fundings for this particular student population. Thank you.
Is there any way that we can increase our DSPS allocation?
Increase eligible headcount.
Yeah.
Qualified DSPS students, increase that head count. That's the obvious place.
But that would be students enrolled in
That's
working
correct.
toward a degree.
In degree or a certificate seeking programs. The other is a state and a change in the state funding formula. But I don't see that happening this week.
I think it's important to also add to VP Reeves' statement by stating that even if we do increase the headcount, the overall allocation for DSPS is still declining. And so if we increase the headcount, then we may, it's not like we're adding additional revenue to the college's operating budget. We're just reducing the amount by which we would get cut. And we still need to, build in the corresponding services to support those students, of which the percentage allocation of what we receive every year is declining. And so I think that's, very my long-winded way of saying that we are in a position of having to, by virtue of declining allocations for our DSPS allocation, doing more with less.
If I could quickly add, we have seen over the last year or so a bump in some of our numbers, but to the points made, the overall decline as far as what we're receiving from the Chancellor's office is relevant. So our numbers are going up based off of where we were last year, but we're still seeing a decline. So we're seeing that impact now.
Did anyone else have any follow-up questions?
I don't have any follow-up questions, but it just seems like this is a very difficult situation. And what's been, Dr. Powell, that you've presented, I know with a lot of support, and thanks to you and Dr. Mora and Mr. Reeves and Dr. G. I know you guys have come together, and I think also you, Trustee Olson, I want to give you a big shout out for really kind of doing some incredible community outreach to our community partners to bring everybody together, which you are so good at doing, to figure out a way that we can make this work. I know the College Foundation is a big component of that as well. So it just, I'm trying to weigh all of these factors together, and it just seems that this community funded, community course program and that this new direction to provide these types of services in a way that really still supports those students' needs, and does it in a way that the college can make work and is fiscally responsible. It just seems the best course of action. And so I'm eager to hear new steps and other ways that I can support, or I know probably speak for other trustees as well, that we can support the effort, because it seems like you're going in the right direction. So I want to thank you, because I know it's a lot of hard work to bring people together and to try to find a pathway forward. And it seems like you guys have been making incredible progress in a very limited amount of time.
Thank you, Trustee Dodd. If I may add one final thought, I think Professor Kling raises a really important point, right? And that is, while this year we think that number is relatively small in terms of 11 students that we anticipate actually seeking a degree or certificate and accessing the adaptive PE to meet that graduation requirement, this program is not being discontinued. I've heard that phrase thrown out in relation to course reductions, right? The adaptive PE program is not being discontinued or eliminated. The enrollment or the course itself is still within our catalog. And so to the extent that, in subsequent semesters, we are seeing, to Professor Kling's point, students that do need to access the course. And if, creating an accommodation in an existing kinesiology course is something that is less optimal than actually bringing the course back for that number of students that do need to access it, then that is something that is within the capacity of the district and the college to do. I would strongly suggest and advise that we use, really informed data in terms of student intent, not just as a cost-saving measure, but to ensure that we are in compliance with Title V and that those students actually are accessing the course because it is a component of their overall academic program. So I will put that out there as something that's worth further discussion and conversation in terms of what could be done in subsequent semesters should, demand as it relates to students' needs really demonstrate that a section or so of an adaptive PE course is something that would really help those students attain their goal. So.
Before we move on, I had one question that came up. And please correct my understanding for it. I believe that there's a portion of the students taking the course, they're transition school students. And if they're able to take the course as part of their transition school education because it's a credit course, if it were to shift to a community ed course, would that affect their capacity to take it with the support that they may have because it's a transition school?
That is an excellent question, Trustee Duzon, and part of, the kind of the next steps conversations as it relates to engaging with the multiple stakeholders who currently do access the adaptive PE courses and what the specific regulatory requirements that they need to meet in order for that course to be relevant. I cannot speak to that particular program in specificity, but I do know it came up in our last conversation on Monday. There were other programs where the same thing came up. In relation to the actual title of the course, whether it needed to actually have adaptive physical education within the title, or if it could be, a different offering or name that would be less confusing, but still meet the regulatory requirements for that particular eligibility. So I'll say that is one of many follow-up questions as it relates to a community education strategy that we need to engage and that will be discussed as we get into these conversations in the next few weeks.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the work that's been going into this. And we've already closed public comment, but I would encourage you to reach out to Dr. Mora, and because I know we still have lots of work to do, and we're not done here tonight. So really do appreciate all the work and understand there's still quite a bit to do, but I'm very pleased that we have a path forward. So thank you. All right, so we are now moving on to item 11.1, consideration to enter into an employment agreement. So prior to considering this matter as required by Government Code Section 54953C3, I am providing an oral summary of the recommendation regarding the salary and fringe benefits under the proposed contract. The district is entering into an employment agreement with Alejandro Guerrera as Assistant Superintendent Vice President of Student Affairs beginning May 19th, 2026 through May 18th, 2029. May 19, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, the Assistant Superintendent Vice President will receive a monthly salary at range 3, Step D, plus longevity increments 1 and 2 on the Vice President salary schedule, which is $17,305.92. Dr. Guerrero will advance on the salary schedule 1 step each subsequent January of this contract. Salary will be prorated for any partial month of service. The Assistant Superintendent Vice President shall be entitled to receive the same fringe benefits as the Administrative Confidential Employee Group. May I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Trustee Olson with a second from Trustee Rios. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 11.2, acceptance of Napa Valley College Union of Classified Professionals initial proposal for reopeners. Do we have any public comment on this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion from Trustee DeLuna with a second from Trustee Dodd. Unless we have any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, so motion passes. And then moving on to 3.1, College and Career Access Pathways Partnership Agreement. Is there any public comment on this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
A motion to approve from trustee Dodd with a second from trustee Olson. There's no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And motion passes unanimously. 14.1 Napa Valley Tennis Association MOU. This was the item that was on consent that we pulled. So it is now an information item. Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, President Baker. I'm pleased to introduce Margaret Angelovich of the Napa Valley Tennis Association. The Napa Valley Tennis Association is proposing that the college enter into an MOU that would provide investment revenue to do the improvements at the tennis courts, in addition to providing management services over the tennis program, the tennis courts, that would include the use, obvious use by college and the community. It would also include, I think Margaret will touch on this, I won't steal her thunder. This is a request for an MOU. I just want to be clear that the MOU is intended to provide a good faith document to the Napa Valley Tennis Association that we are interested partners, and that in the event that they were able to reach their fundraising goals and other goals, that we would enter into a more definitive agreement. So this is a presentation by the Napa Valley Tennis Association. Please take it away, Margaret.
Thank you. So what I'm here for is to seek your approval to move forward with the Napa Valley Tennis Association, assuming oversight and maintenance of the college tennis facilities in exchange for for shared use. So this is the MOU, as you said, is the first step, with a long-term agreement as the next. So really, what's the benefit to both of our parties for that? MVTA has an ongoing mission to promote tennis throughout the Napa communities. It's in order to do this. Let me start over. So we have a mission to promote tennis education and community engagement through the shared use of the college courts. The college courts, as you know, are in absolutely horrible shape. So what we're proposing is that we would take over that responsibility, shifting the maintenance cost and oversight to MVTA. So the next slide, please. So just to let you know who we are, who is NVTA, we're volunteer-run nonprofit. We have this kind of facility already existing at the Vintage High School. We're currently a community of almost 1,000. That's our members, league players, everything that takes place at this facility. And we have been awarded as an outstanding community association by the USTA. These are pictures of our courts that are in existence now at the Vintage High School. So we have a 50-year rich history of doing this, of working on a school campus and facilitating, everything that takes place on there. This is kind of just an overview of the things that we do. We're a very low-cost membership. We're not a country club by any means. We offer clinics, events. We have a very high-quality partnership with FIT that does the clinics and pro lessons and things like that. We do youth camps, we do USTA leagues, anywhere from 18-year-olds to, I actually do a 70-year-old team of all different skill levels. It is open to the public. We also have camps that go as young as 3. So we go anywhere from 3-year-olds to 85-year-olds at our facility. So what would this oversight look like? What are we proposing? It's, as I said before, it's exactly what we're doing now at the Vintage High School. For here, what we would do is you have 8 tennis courts that are out there. We would take 7 of them and resurface them and bring them up to the standards that you could play tournaments on them, USTA compliant. One of the tennis courts, the ones that doesn't even have a net right now, we would convert that to pickleball. MVTA would be responsible for all the things that take place from the fence inward And then you guys would be responsible for everything that's from the fence outwards. We would do tennis court scheduling that would include the college classes, all clinics, lessons, league play, and all of this would be managed through our partner Fit, and there's a software system that's called Court Reserve. One dedicated tennis court and one dedicated pickleball court would be set aside for public use at all times. All other courts would be available on a first come, first served basis, and would be used for public use if it's not reserved ahead of time. Excuse me. So what's in it for you guys? As you can see, your tennis courts are in pretty rough shape. This allows for funds for the critical capital improvements of these courts. These courts will not be playable 2 years from now, and it will be a serious loss to the Napa tennis community. The other thing is it adds pickleball, which is something that is a very strong trend. Not to all as tennis players, but it's a strong 10. And the one thing, having it here, the noise is not as destructive to the community, and we'd be putting it as far away from all your teachers' offices as possible. It also establishes a robust and comprehensible yet affordable tennis programming that's accessible to your students here, to the students that are in housing, and to the general public. And this, again, all of this is at no cost to the college. What's in it for us? Why do we want to do this? The major one is we don't want to lose these courts that are here. They're an important part of the tennis community. The other thing it does for us is currently we have 8 courts. It would allow us to go to 15 courts. We are maxing out our capability, particularly in early days of having enough between the clinics and the league play and everything else to have people that can just come out and play. We are not allowed to have day play for league play or night play at our current facility, and that would allow us to expand into that area. It allows us to expand some of the things that we're doing now with the Napa Parks and Rec Department. And again, the most important part is that it continues. That's it. Questions?
I've got a couple of questions about the public access. Looks like there would be a reservation system. What about students here on campus? If they wanted to use the courts, they're going to have to go through this reservation system?
So what we do now, and we envision it being the same. So first of all, there would be the court that would be set aside at all times, is we have courts that we are assigned for clinics and pro lessons. Of our 8 courts, we have 2 to 3 of those that are taken at the same time. We have league play that takes place during the day, and that we'll set those aside. Other than that, it's on a first come, first served basis. So it's not like if it's 10 o'clock, I want to play. If it's not already reserved for these other things, then it's open for anyone to use. We're hoping that they'll join our membership, because that is an important part of how we fund this. Again, it's like $300,000 for us to do all of this. And on a year-to-year basis, we set aside about $35,000 to $40,000 because you're going to have to resurface again in 7 to 10 years. Lights need to be replaced. Things need to be replaced. And that's actually the challenge I've seen. You guys have not been doing that. You haven't been setting aside and doing the general maintenance that's necessary. So a student that wants to come out and play, just like they're doing now, if a court's available, they go out and they play on the court. There will just be more that will be unavailable because they'll be set aside for the clinics.
And yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. It sounds like it's pretty busy with all the different types of, play that the association has, league play, lessons and all of that.
Right.
So it sounds to me like it'd be pretty difficult for a student to get out there. And that's what I'm trying to get a sense of.
Yeah, so if we go by what we are currently doing, there's usually, 3 to 4 of the courts that are available for the drop-in. And the student would be the same as, a public person that comes in. Classes, of course, would be reserved separately, and that would be said, here's your class. And, right now you only have one class. I would think you could have more than that. But it's hard to say that, you're at 10 o'clock, there's always going to be 3 courts. So at 10 o'clock, there will be 3 courts, whether or not it's going to be the community that's going to be there at 10 o'clock or one of your students there at 10 o'clock. We're not planning on having that be a regulated item.
Thank you.
And I just had a question about the MOU. How often we would enter into it for a year? How often would we review that and then see, what the use is? As far as like what Trustee Rios was saying, if there are more students, maybe interest peaks because there's nice tennis courts. Is there a way that we can incorporate maybe a review later to see?
So what we're doing, so the MOU is for that we want to go into an agreement so that we can do additional fundraising. And also keep in mind, if we're going to do $300,000 of our money on there and have X amount of money, every year, we have to have a long-term agreement, because otherwise you could pull it away from us at any time and say, thank you very much for what you've put into it. And I wouldn't expect you would do that.
Yeah, Trustee DeLuna, that's a great question. I think what we would do is the terms and conditions would be in the final agreement, but the terms and conditions would also likely include an annual review period that says, this is the kind of frequency we're seeing on these courts. Can we shift schedules? Can we look at that on an annual basis? But as Margaret has indicated, they want to make sure that their capital investment, they realize the benefit of that over time. So that would help. That would necessitate this agreement be longer than a few years.
Yeah, but to your point, we're building into it that we all get together once a year, because it could be we go through this and it's not a good fit for us after all. I can't imagine that it wouldn't, but.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you're able to present. I believe the MOU will be on consent next month. Is that the plan?
That is our target, consent for next month.
And Armando, I guess this would be you. During the presentation, I was noticing that some of the color contrast is not ADA compliant. Could we get that fixed so that when it goes up auto line, it's
Absolutely. That seems to be a difference between the screen and the projector. I noticed that as well, but I'll have our IT team help look into that and make sure we're compliant.
okay? Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Margaret.
All right, moving on to my favorite stuff every month. Unrestricted General Fund 11. Mr. Reeves.
This is the report I dread. If I can draw your attention to the unrestricted general fund report, Fund 11 referred to. This is the adjusted budget, and it is through 9/12 of the year or through the third quarter. Again, if we just want to reference the right column, that is where the percentages are, and the very rough estimation about where we are in the budget is comparing that percentage to the percentage where we are in the year. Again, I've said this several times, but it's worth repeating. That's not a perfect measure because there are always timing issues relative to revenue and expenses. That said, if you look at total revenue, we're at about 71% of our total revenue versus what we budgeted for total revenue. Our property taxes, the bigger one is we're at about 69%. We do expect some additional funds kind of rolling through the spring and finishing up in the early summer, but we're trending at about 69%. So that's one we keep an eye on, obviously. In terms of our total salaries, we're sitting at about 68% total. You'll notice the very top line, the faculty is only sitting at 63%. I would share that we're waiting to pay out the one-time payment. We're just working on the logistics with faculty about where the decimal point goes for those one-time payouts, but that will catch up once those payouts are concluded. To some extent, it's under total benefits, we're at 63%. The variances above are trending about right. But again, we'll see a little more add there as committed pay catches up. In total books and supplies, we're at 54%. We're trending a little low. With the exception of that very top one, we're at 92%. Again, that's a very small number, and it's likely a timing issue where that expense occurred early in the budget year. With respect to total other operating supplies, we're at 62%. Again, trending reasonably well with no significant variances there. I don't have any particular concerns there as we move through the final quarter. And finally, the total expenditures, we're sitting at 65% of our budgeted total expenditures. So we're still trending a bit lower than certainly at this point during the year. I don't see any particular risk here. My risk is always around property taxes. But in terms of expenditures, I don't see anything to be particularly alarmed with, certainly through the third quarter of the year. So that would conclude my report, and I would certainly entertain any questions that Trustee Baker would have or others.
Someday I'm gonna have to ask how you keep your office supply budget so low. It's like, is everybody bringing their own pencils? I know I've spent 3 times that this year. All right, thank you very much. Moving on to President and Board reports.
Good evening, everyone. So I'd like to highlight 3 areas that we've been working on. The first, thank you very much for your endorsement tonight of our 3 CCAP agreements. So we have the Calistoga Joint Unified School District Agreement extended for 3 years, the St. Helena District extended for 3 years. And you'll notice that Napa Unified is extended for 1 year, and that's purposeful because they received a grant that specifies the number of activities for this first year. So they wanted to have the agreement align with their grant terms. So they'll be bringing back another agreement next year. You'll also notice, you may recall that annually we tend to bring back updates to the agreements, and that's because we continue to add classes as we find that more instructors are qualified to cover those courses. So that will be ongoing. One thing that's very significant is in the St. Helena agreement, we now include the naming of an early college pathway partnership. So you may recall that with New Tech, even before the official early college program started, we began shoring up, creating the additional courses that would allow for students to complete an early college pathway, and started kind of a soft rollout of that. So this is the first step toward an actual early college program that will be at St. Helena High School, and we're planning toward that. And, one of the things that we've really been focused on is ensuring that we are offering GE and transferable courses in those dual enrollment offerings at our local high schools. We recognize that students who are 16, 17 years old may not know exactly the path they want to take. So we want to ensure that the credits that they earn can be applicable to any of our degrees. So that's a direction that I've really advocated for and fostered. Also, one of the things that is included in this grant that the Napa Unified School District has received for their dual enrollment partnership work is something called the Student Ambassador Collaborative. And this is where our partner schools, so this is not paid coming from us, but from the grant our partner schools will pay students participating in this program a $500 stipend for the year to serve as peer resources and mentors to their students. We did have an early version of this program that we were coordinating, and that was very successful. So it's great that they've received a grant to really make it something that they are managing on their side. And you'll notice this language, I just wanted to call this out from the CCAP agreement because I think it's quite compelling about what the purpose of the Peer Ambassador Collaborative is, which is peer-to-peer engagement and leadership development through a student ambassador model. If anybody happened to attend attend, I think it was about 2 years ago, we had our student ambassadors at the time who presented at a workshop in the community room. And what was so just inspiring and compelling to me was to see those students who were in front of people. We had people from all over the region who came in to hear about our dual enrollment partnerships. There were people at the vice chancellor level. There were people who were directors, leads for their schools. And these students were in front of these experts talking in such clear, compelling ways about the work that they were doing, and seeing them present themselves as leaders to that group of educators was just really marvelous. So that is part of the intent of the program, is that they develop those skills themselves as well. And as I mentioned, we'll submit amendments to these agreements as we add more classes. So our direction is always toward more growth for our dual enrollment courses in our K-12 partner schools. The second area I'd like to highlight is about our community partnerships. This is something that you'll see periodically on your board agendas. If we can scroll down to that middle section on community partnerships, I'm just highlighting 4 that have occurred this year and that we tend to renew these. The Child Start Napa is featuring our Child and Family Studies program, and these students are, the courses are paid for by Child Start Napa, so we do not cover the cost of them, and the students going through them are making progress toward a certificate to be ready for childcare roles. We also have a partnership with Infinity Bottling to offer English as a second language courses, and this provides contextualized ESL instruction for the workplace, so it's really about learning the specific language that is needed in that particular context. A third example is moving forward toward independence, which is through our HCTM program, Hospitality Culinary. And this is serving adults with disabilities so that they can learn how to be individual and create a meal on their own, know how to use equipment in the kitchen, and have independence in that respect. And then the fourth example is from Farm Workers Foundation, and it's a partnership with the grape growers of Napa Valley. You may have heard Dean Doug Marriott talk about the welding course that we offer bilingually in English and Spanish, and that has been each January for the last 3 years. So that's another partnership that we have. And then finally, I'd like to highlight something that started this month, which is the opening of our application period for our bachelor's degree program in respiratory care. And I know you've heard me talk about respiratory care for 2 years now. That's how long it takes from the moment of inception of the idea and we had a year-long meeting with industry partners, faculty, the dean, myself, to plan the program for having it go through curriculum, go through the state. And now the application period is open. And if we can scroll down just a touch, I want to highlight some of the things that are really, I think, special about the way we developed this program, which is that for anybody who has the associate degree in respiratory care, which is part of the requirement to apply, they are already licensed, they're working in this field, that we will award them 13 units of credit for prior learning to launch their program of study. And this is a program that students can complete in 3 semesters, so 18 months, they can achieve their bachelor's degree in respiratory care. That is launching in fall of 2026. So we're super excited, and I want to acknowledge the amazing Professor Ricardo Guzman, who he and I worked very, very closely together on this, and he's really been such a champion. So I'm excited, and it's open. If you know anybody who wants to apply, it's open as of April 1st, respiratory care homepage. They can find the application. It's a short application, and please join us. Thank you.
Actually, before we move off of you, Dr. Moore, since I know I will not do a good job in my board report, can you explain what we did today?
Oh, goodness gracious. So we were at the ACCJC regional convening in Sacramento at Sacramento City College, and it was a group of 7 of us. I'll describe what we did, but just briefly, I want to acknowledge we were the only team there who had the full team. So they asked us to send a board member. Thank you so much. They asked us to send a student Justin Dizon was our student, and then we had representation from all of our groups. It was wonderful. So Mac Powell, who's the president of ACCJC, was there along with his VP, and they walked us through a lot of really important information about how community colleges can re-examine the data that they have, particularly around preparation for workforce. And if our programs are really achieving what they say they are. So they asked us to really examine our processes, and they gave us a framework for putting together a team so that we could look more closely at program outcomes in two respects. One, to identify if there are any gaps in our programming, if there are types of career technical education preparation that we're not providing that are in high demand in the region that we serve. And the second respect, to really examine if they divided career education programs into three categories, those that are high wage, middle wage, and then lower wage, not earning a living wage. And they said when we examine our programs, we should look at them holistically and categorize them into each of those groups. And if we've identified that we have, by the end of achieving an associate degree, that a student, when they achieve a job in that field, if it's a low wage job, we need to consider the value of that program to them and either change the program or reconsider whether that's something we should be offering. And I think that the powerful thing that I've heard reiterated in a few different places now is we should not be graduating our students into poverty. So I say yes to that.
It was definitely a very interesting day and lots to think about. It was looking forward to seeing how that gets implemented. All right, thanks.
Okay. Good evening, board. I'll make my comments brief. I've submitted a report and I've highlighted a couple of key things we've done this past month. Really want to lift up the work of the Viva Mariachi Festival. This is a collaboration with District Auxiliary Services Foundation as you know, to offer a very vibrant festival every year. This year we were able to provide two shows on a Saturday with about 800 or so individuals participating in that. On the Friday before, we had 400 NVUSD students come to Napa Valley College to learn about mariachi music and participate in the festivities. And then that evening, we also had a show in Santa Elena with about 250, 300 or so community members. So we're definitely making an impact when it comes to mariachi music in this community. A couple of things I just want to highlight for you as far as the groups that we brought this year. Mariachi Las Abuelitas de Davis Bilingual Elementary School in Tucson. So these were the little guys. If you participated or you saw our event, literally we had an 8-year-old on stage. Not just one, but like a crew of 8 and 9 and 10-year-olds who were amazing musicians. So this group participated. We also had our Luther Burbank Center for the Performing Arts Mariachi and Folklorico program participate. So this is a group out of Santa Rosa who really focus on offering mariachi music to low-income communities as a way to really identify culture and pride. And then our final group were Mariachi Garibaldi from Southwestern College down in Chula Vista by San Diego. Amazing group, community college musicians who were just from literally right first year in college to returning to college, variety of musicians and just amazing, just really stole the show. I think they were all great. So want to just overall impact of what we're doing and how we're really engaged in this Viva Mariachi Festival. It does showcase the educational pathways literally from elementary all the way through college in a community and culturally responsive way. So in addition to that, we are an HSI, so we are supporting and promoting our community with pride, orgullo. And it's really important also just continues to strengthen our regional and national partnerships as we think about the work that we do with our mariachis outside of California. So very proud of that work. It was a team that put that together, a small team, but very dedicated individuals from my office, from our DAS services and foundation. I also want to give props to former Vice President Student Affairs, Oscar de Aro, who is always behind the scenes, volunteers this time to really make sure that we are recruiting this amazing talent. So He helps us to promote or to do this activity every year. So looking forward to next year. We're already in the planning stages for that. So the last thing I want to lift up, Dr. Quillen spoke a little bit about this, and when he jumped in and did a report for ASNVC, our ASNVC president, Natalie Lona, is currently at this moment in time at our track running circles. And he's been doing this since 10 a.m. And he's going to do this till 10 a.m. tomorrow. So for 24 hours, he will be doing a run to raise awareness and to raise funds for ASNVC. He is taking breaks, don't worry. He's also an avid runner, several marathons under his belt, races. He's done this many times. The 24-hour thing is just amazing to me. And again, his whole goal here is to raise awareness and also promote donations that will go towards student scholarships, leadership opportunities, and educational trips. So I highly recommend, and I have a flyer for you that you can scan if you'd like to donate to ASNVC and support what they're doing. That would be great. I would also recommend, if you'd like, as soon as this meeting is over, I'm going to put on my tennies and run out there and run with them. So I highly recommend, if you brought your tennies and you want to run out there, you can run with them and do a lap or two or walk. It's fine. Yeah, it's totally okay. But I think to show some support for Naphtali, he literally has a crew out there right now with tent and other stuff, just doing amazing things. So I want to lift up ASNVC. I want to lift up our student body president, Natalie, and the amazing leaders that we have there. So I'm looking forward to finishing tonight because I want to go run with them. So anyways, that concludes my report.
I can't follow that.
Yeah.
Just a few quick items, just to let you know that many of you know that we'll be closing our print shop. And so we sent out a survey today, some assessment survey and information about some work we want to do about reconfiguring our internal printers and seeking outside resources for our specialty printing. So that is underway. I would also bring to light, we're looking at food services again. We had some concern raised this week about the cost of a bowl of tomato soup, a legitimate concern. So we need to look at that with the district subsidizes our food services on campus through DAS, but it's an area we need to look at certainly as we move forward, not only for a cup of tomato soup, but how we best meet the needs of our student population, both commuting and residential. At the risk of stealing Trustee Dodd's foundation report thunder, I would just indicate it's a bit of a banner day for facilities because the second phase of the Wine Education Center is completed. There are some minor details associated with that, but it is a beautiful, beautiful space. And I would invite Trustee Dodd, if you'd like to use my pictures in my report for your report, you're certainly welcome to.
Take all the thunder.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Good evening. We're still in the middle of our superintendent presidential search. First round of interviews have been conducted, and we will be holding campus forums on April the 27th. I look forward to seeing many of our community, NVC community members join us on April the 27th for our campus forums. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we have a couple of events that I'd like to highlight. On April the 29th is Denim Day. The SAVE Task Force will host a campus-wide awareness event as part of an international campaign responding to victim blaming in sexual violence cases. Students and employees will be encouraged to wear denim as a visible statement of support for survivors and commitment to prevention. The event will include resource tabling, student engagement activities, and direct connection back to support services. The other event that I'd like to highlight is on April the 30th, 2026, Take Back the Night. This is partnering with housing staff to host a Take Back the Night event. This is part of a long-standing national movement to end sexual and interpersonal violence.
On April the 30th, we'll begin this family-friendly and open to the community event with food, music, crafts, games, community partners to support a safe and consent-forward community. And that is my report. Thank you.
Just a few pieces of information for me to add. First, I want to say congrats to our McPherson Award winners, the awardees. Appreciate the work you do, and it's nice to see you acknowledged for all of that hard work. Some good news. Napa Valley College has recently received a grade of 100% in terms of our website accessibility. So we are 100% compliant with ADA, and now our goal is to stay that way. I want to give special thanks to our Director of Public Affairs and Communication, our PIO, Jenna Sanders, for your leadership in that endeavor, that work. Thank you. Two other pieces of good news. Napa Valley College was recently awarded a Rebuilding Nursing Grant to establish nursing pathways and support our pathways for our nursing program. This is a $1.25 million grant that we were recently awarded that will help us to really ensure that we are maintaining access to this critical program that provides a critical support for our extended community. And I believe that's a 3-year grant. Is that the? I believe it's a 3-year performance period, but I can double check that. And lastly, I want to give a shout out to our Phi Theta Kappa chapter, which, as you know, in the past has received many awards, and this year is no exception. So I have a lengthy list of awards that they were recently awarded in their LA regional convening. And it starts with them receiving the Cultivating Leadership Award. They received the Cultural Project Award, first place for the Most Distinguished Honors in Action Award on their topic, Storytelling, Stories That Shape Us, Centering Silenced Voices on Campus. Kathy Gillis received the Distinguished Advisor Award. So congratulations, Kathy. And the chapter was named a 5-star chapter, which is the highest level awarded at PTK International. So those are just the regional awards. And now we're moving on to the international awards. As you know, PTK is an international honor society. And so at the Catalyst Convention in Baltimore just a few weeks ago, the college received and the chapter received the Distinguished Honors in Action Project Award on the topic above. So they received international recognition for this project, and they were awarded one of the top 100 chapters award out of over 1,300 international chapters. So I want to say thank you to Kathy for your leadership, for your continued support of this phenomenal student group. Congratulations to the students in PTK, and that concludes the President's Area Report.
Thank you. So standing committee and other appointment reports. Trustee Dillard, anything from CCCT?
I have a meeting tomorrow, so
Okay,
I'll have
thanks.
a.
And McPherson and Schenck, I think we're.
Sure, I have reports on both. We heard about the McPherson committee earlier. The McPherson Distinguished Teaching Award recognizes teaching and service to students. This award honors faculty members who have made outstanding contributions to the education of our students in the classroom and through other activities that promote learning. We had a hard time deciding this year, so we decided to lift up 2 teachers because we couldn't choose just one. Greg Moralia teaches criminal justice and LGBTQ studies. Greg provides a welcoming classroom that will always read you your rights, as well as being the coordinator of the LGBTQ education program and the Pride Learning community, as well as being a part-time union rep. And Forrest Quinlan teaches chemistry. Forrest gets personally involved with students, providing encouragement and support even outside of the classroom. He mentors students of diverse backgrounds and truly promotes student success. And the Ed Schenck Award honors student services workers who go above and beyond what they are asked to do in order to meet the needs of our students. This year, we unanimously agreed to lift up Julie Hernandez through her incredible work in the Basic Needs Center. Julie has helped expand services across campus,
positively impacting the lives of countless students. Her focus is ensuring that students have access to essential resources like food, clothing, shelter, and even a free haircut program. Julie empowers students to realize their full potential so they can thrive inside and outside of the classroom. Thank you, Julie, for the incredible work that you do. You truly make a difference, and our community is stronger because of you.
All right. Well, it's still you. You have a DOS report.
As committee chair, Executive Director Carolee Kitalica provided highlights of the Viva Mariachi Festival, which raised over $22,000. And we discussed the college's efforts towards becoming a Hispanic serving institution and having a presentation on that in an upcoming board meeting. And also discussed the closing of the print shop, which we heard mentioned earlier, but I had no idea what was going on. That concludes my report.
Trustee Rios, anything from and foundation? Trustee Dodd?
I won't take away from Jim's thunder, so I'll just leave that thunder be. But I would say some exciting news in a sense of we have, I believe we should have tonight another a foundation meeting to vote on 3 new board members for the foundation, which is always, as a lot of you know, or serve on boards, nonprofit boards. It's always important to bring in new voices and keep in new people and make sure the board is always growing and hopefully never getting much smaller. So yeah, we have 3 good candidates. I'll circulate their bios just so you know who they are, know a little bit about them. But yeah, so it's a good positive step forward as Malcolm, I think, is looking to maybe term out as president, maybe next year or so. At least that's the rumor.
Thank you. Any requests for future agenda items? Okay. Then trustee and board chair reports first up, and his final report, student trustee Desan.
It's like correct. It's my last meeting in semester. I have one more in May. Yeah.
We were just trying to get rid of you. I promise.
I treat everyone like it's your last. So conflictingly, both sadly and thankfully, my list of updates has grown shorter, shrunken shorter as the semester comes to a close. Many of my obligations have wrapped up, allowing me to shift my focus exclusively towards academics and finishing the semester strong. In terms of student activities, ASNVC is currently in the midst of its elections process, and so we will soon see the formation of its next board. Speaking to my position, there are several strong candidates running for student trustee, and while I have my own personal hopes for who wins it, I'm pretty confident that the role will be left in capable hands. I look forward to seeing how the next trustee builds on some of the work I've done in finding their own, ideally with big shoes to fill. Hopefully, I'm a tough act to follow. I try to be. As mentioned earlier, ASNVC President Neftali Lona is currently doing his 24-hour fundraiser, and while running for that long may not appeal to everyone, including myself, his effort reflects the creativity and commitment our board has shown in expanding opportunities for students. Another example of this is Party on the Plaza. It's an upcoming community event organized by ASNVC. This event is going to feature food trucks and live music, providing students with an opportunity to relax and connect as the semester winds down, with us reaching out to local bands in the area. Lastly, on a personal note, while today is not my final board meeting, it is my last meeting during the academic semester. My final meeting as student trustee will take place next month in May following commencement, and I will hopefully have an opportunity next meeting to give a proper reflection, recognizing that as much work as I feel I have done, it is the laying of the groundworks for real change for the student voice. The past couple months have been quite busy. I have wrapped up my efforts of speaking in different classrooms where I gave a presentation about some of the changes and challenges we are facing as a campus, and engaging in a dialogue with students about awareness, communication gaps, and the desire for student input. I finish having presented to 67 unique classes, estimating that I have connected with over 30% of our students in a face-to-face setting, facilitating the conversation between all of our other constituent groups on our campus. I've begun to hear back from schools for the next step of my journey. I've applied to 5 schools and I've heard back from 3. I've been accepted to each so far. And so I'm eagerly awaiting the results from the remaining schools to see where I will be going next. I hopefully can maybe lean on you all for a letter of recommendation in case I ever need it. Thank you. Our next meeting will be after commencement, and so I will see you all again in this room with a degree and certificate to my name, and some UC bound. I lament the fact that my term and experience here is ending, but I am more excited for the next step. Like student trustee Cindy Gonzalez before me, I remain hopefully eager to receive a personalized and tear-jerking resolution from you all for the end of my term, and to hand off the position and leave you all in capable hands. That is the end of my report.
Are you going to join us at graduation again? Or will we have a new person?
No, unfortunately, no. I was not selected as a valedictory speaker. In the 3 hours I had to write before the deadline was due, I realized as I gave my presentation that my draft that I had submitted was focused a little bit too much about the personal journey rather than the transformative experience that this campus has given me. And so while I was informed by one of the members of the committee that I was a close third, I have not been one of the students selected, unfortunately, but I'll be front row.
Yep. Excellent. Okay, Trustee Dodd.
Nothing to report.
Trustee Kushneff.
I gave enough of a report already, thank you.
Trustee Olson.
I just wanted to say, great job on Viva Mariachi. I think this was how many years? This was the 7th or 6th? I think I've gone for 4 or 5 years in a row, and I look forward to it every year. And the littles were just too cute. I just wanted to go up there, and so talented. Yeah, it was an amazing year, as always. And then I also wanted to share, yesterday I was in my day job. I was at a juvenile justice council meeting at the juvenile hall, and Jesse Marinero was there giving a presentation on the Rising Scholars Program here at NVC College. And it's for those of you that don't know, current or formerly incarcerated, youth or students. I mean, they can be adults too. And just sharing about the support services that we at NVC College offer to those students. And it was just really great. And I recommend maybe inviting him in here to give us a presentation at a future board meeting. Thanks.
Trustee DeLuna. Trustee Rios. Okay, well, I just really quickly want to extend again publicly my thanks to trustees DeLuna and trustee Iverson for serving on the hiring committee. I know that was a huge time investment, and really do appreciate the entire committee, but our board representatives are very important. I also loved Mariachi. That I personally liked the first group because they were so darn cute and so freaking talented. I'm looking forward to being here tomorrow for a classified luncheon. Real quick, when is the party in the plaza?
The last Tuesday of the month, April 28th. It was rescheduled from next Tuesday to the final Tuesday because of rain.
Okay. And last thing, happy National Library Week. It starts next week. If you're a library user, please step into your library, either the one downtown or the one here on campus, and wish your library workers a happy National Library Week. If you're not a library user, shame on you. All right. So with that, we are adjourned at 8:11 p.m. Oh, and our next meeting will be 5:21. We do have a special meeting between now and then, but our next regular meeting is May 21st.